go?
Sure, I can definitely touch on that a bit. So it has to do with a combination of the performance and their use of super cooled RP1 and their liquid oxygen. So they are loading these super cooled propellants, and basically, once it's full, all of from the moment it starts loading, all of that propellant is heating up, getting closer to ambient temperature, and also expanding. And so they are continuing to load and then top off towards the end of the count. But at the same time, all of that propellant is expanding, and so they need to maximize their performance here. And there may be some more specifics that potentially Sawyer can touch on if I've missed a couple things here.
No, you pretty much hit it.
I mean, I'm not a super smart science guy, but it's all about Newton's law, right? You need to be able to throw stuff out of the back end of the rocket to accelerate yourself into orbit. And the denser the stuff that you're throwing out, the more thrust you're getting out of it. And one way you can make things denser is by cooling it way down. And that is what SpaceX does. It's a way that they can eke out just a little bit more performance from Falcon 9. So they use superchilled propellants, and that means everything is tied to a very specific timeline based on the temperatures of those propellants all the way from when they start fueling at like T minus 38 minutes. But now we are at T minus 4 minutes and change. D and Max, do we need to let you guys go and do your camera things? Yes. All right, cool.
Yes, that would be great. I was actually adjusting a camera setting. That was the reason for said delay. We are getting close to launch, so we are definitely going to go hands-on with our cameras here. Thank you.
All right, good deal. Max and D, we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for braving the mosquitoes, and thank you for braving the Florida humidity. Go, Cape Team, go. In the meantime, Sawyer and I will hold it down at T minus 3 minutes and 30 seconds really quickly. Man's on Mars, thank you for the super chat. They say new shipbuilding code. All cruise ships require a landing pad. I'm here for it. And Don Porter, thank you for the super chat as well. Y'all, the support means the world to us because we love what we do. We we really do. We wouldn't be doing it otherwise, and we would not be able to do any of this without y'all's support. So thank you so much. It honestly means the most. Sawyer, 3 minutes to go. Looks like Falcon 9 is nice and fully fueled. What are we about to see in about, I don't know, 30 to 50 seconds or so?
Well, we're almost fully fueled at this point. We should be wrapping up right around now. The first stage, that should be fully loaded with propellants, the RP1, and the liquid oxygen. That'll be followed at about T minus 90 seconds or so ish by the completing of the loading of the second stage with propellants. And then right now they've already retracted the transporter erector 1.8 degrees away from the vehicle. And they'll continue to count down until especially T minus 1 minute when Falcon 9 enters startup. The onboard computers take control. That's also when the tanks are pressurized to flight levels. Hopefully we get the go for launch at T minus 45 seconds, with ignition happening at T minus 3 seconds.
Excellent. Well, T minus 2 minutes to go. You can begin to hear the sounds of Falcon 9 coming alive on the pad. I always love this phase of the pre-launch timeline.
Stage 2 lock flow
The
is complete.
rocket really does feel alive. And there you can hear from the loop, LOX load complete on stage 2. You can see it nice and frosty. Gosh, that is a super sooty fairing. So did we get any info from SpaceX on the fairings on this one?
They do not always say how many times or if they've been reflown, but I think it's safe to say this half at least, has definitely been flown. I didn't get to see the other
Gas
half.
launch closeouts has started.
All right, launch closeout started. 1 minute and 20 to go.
That vent, T minus 2-ish minute vent. Purging the line of all of those super cool liquid oxygen that it was using, making sure the line is clear because you don't want fire next to gaseous oxygen, excuse me.
Yep, that would be bad. Here we go, 1 minute to go. Falcon 9 will enter startup. We should hear that call out.
On a slight delay.
Any second now.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
There you go. That means Falcon 9 itself is in control. If it sees anything it doesn't like, it will abort itself without the need for human intervention, but hopefully it doesn't. And in about 45 seconds or so, there you go. LD says go for launch. We will see this rocket lift more Starlink satellites into orbit. So are you excited?
Always.
Indeed. All right, well, weather willing, rocket willing, let's send some more Starlinks into space. T-minus 10 or so. Watch out for that green flash at the base of the rocket. That's the triethyl aluminum triethyl borane igniting the Merlin engines. There we go. And liftoff of Falcon 9 carrying Starlink 8-6 into low Earth orbit. Let's listen in.
Falcon is pitching downrange. Check conversion.
All right, vehicle's already through max Q, as you can hear. I almost don't want to talk over the sound. It just sounds so good.
Impact chill started.
Quite crackly and loud tonight, for sure.
Yeah, and the VAB squeal was extra nice and loud, too. Excellent. You can see Falcon 9's exhaust plume expanding as the vehicle ascends into thinner and thinner atmosphere. Slayer, how long until stage SEP?
About 25 seconds or so, that's when you'll have MECO first, main engine cutoff, when they shut down the 9 Merlin 1D engines, followed by stage SEP, as you mentioned, separation of the first and second stage, and then SES1, second engine start 1, which is when they ignite the single Merlin vacuum engine on stage 2.
Excellent. Fantastic track from the Cape team tonight. I'm not sure if it's Max or D, but there you can see the exhaust plume getting thinner and thinner. And there is MECO. You can see it on the SpaceX stream.
Stage separation confirmed.
Hey, there you go. Wow. And you can see the east coast of the U.S.
The best coast.
On the left-hand side, you can see the view from the inner stage of Falcon 9 first stage, and now you can see the grid fins getting roasted by that Merlin vacuum exhaust. Look at that. What a view.
Always beautiful view. And then, of course, as it gets higher up, the plume continued
Bearing
to expand.
separation
Our ground
confirmed.
camera is still able to catch that.
I believe that was Max still tracking the second stage. Fantastic work. Love to see it.
And that was confirmation of fairing separation, the two fairing halves separating away. Those will parachute down and actually be reused again, hopefully.
Look at that. You can really see the exhaust plume expansion. That is fantastic. Second stage
Stunning. That is still stage 2.
Continuing to power those satellites into orbit as the first stage gets ready to head back and land on a barge in the middle of the ocean, which I cannot underscore as many times as we've seen it happen. What, 300 times now?
Vehicles are on a nominal trajectory.
It's just insane.
Yeah, this one, Shortfall of Gravitas, is located About 620 kilometers downrange, ready to catch.
And you can see, well, first off, you can see on Max's track, look how much that plume has expanded. That is absolutely wild. And then if we go back to the SpaceX stream, you can see the booster is at an altitude of 119 kilometers, and it's still climbing.
Actually, it should just hit apogee this very second. See the speed stopped?
Yep.
That should mean now that it hit the highest point
There
that
you go.
it's
And
going
you
to
can
hit
see
on
this,
its current trajectory.
and you can see the speed start to increase, and now it's at 118. Now it's falling back towards the Earth. Fantastic. A lot of times you don't necessarily think of that. It was the same thing with the shuttle SRBs. Even after SEP, they still have
Both vehicles
upwards momentum.
continue to follow a nominal trajectory.
Wow, Max still tracking the second stage. Way to go.
Unbelievable.
This is not easy to do. Fantastic work from the Cape team. There you go. You can see the second stage piling on the speed as the first stage gets a little bit faster as the gravity of Earth pulls it back, and it gets ready to commence its entry burn here in just a moment.
As mentioned so far, everything looking good with the telemetry, with altitudes, with everything, with both vehicles. So we're on track right now.
Good deal. And Sawyer, how much longer till we get that entry burn we were talking about earlier, where Falcon 9 protects itself from the heating of re-entry with its own exhaust fire?
Yeah, that should be in
Both
about
stages on a nominal
15-ish
trajectory.
seconds. About a little over 6 minutes and 12 seconds in. Of course, all times vary because it is based off of data from the active flight, not
Right.
just guesstimates from the ground.
Right. I always wonder, how much authority does Falcon 9 first stage itself have? And we recently
Stage
got to
1 entry
see.
burn startup.
Well, there you go. There's entry burn of Falcon 9. We recently got
Stage 1
that
FTS has saved.
that factory tour of Blue Origin from friend of the channel, Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronaut. And one of the things Jeff said in that is that New Shepard measures the winds on the way up so that it
Stage
knows
1 entry
better
burn
how to
shutdown.
control itself on the way down. I always wonder if Falcon 9 does this like a similar thing. Either way,
Yeah, because
go ahead.
that one was about 11 seconds after what was planned on the paper, but that just goes to show the
Both
rocket
vehicles
controlling
following a
its own
nominal
trajectory.
trajectory.
And nominal at that.
Nominal. A little bit of plasma coming through the grid fins there. Absolutely gorgeous as the second stage continues to do its thing and power those Starlinks into orbit. Coming up on landing burn of the booster, and then shortly after, second engine cutoff 1. That'll be when the second stage shuts off its engine for the first time.
Those should happen relatively close to each other.
Right? I don't know that I've ever seen them this far apart from each other on the timeline. Usually it's like they're right on top of each other, right?
That's about right.
Stage
It's about
1
15
transonic.
seconds or so.
Stage 1 transonic. Hopefully we get some good landing views from the booster.
And hopefully
Or-
some landing sound, too.
Or from the drone ship. Right, because ASOG has microphones on it.
It does.
All right, well, just a moment away from that. Fingers crossed. Let's see what we can see.
2.5 kilometers up.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Look at the velocity just getting scrubbed off.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
Coming through the clouds. Gorgeous. There's ASOG.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Bingo! Right in the center. Oh!
Oh,
Oh,
no!
no!
Oh, no!
No, 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 no!
And that's not
That's unfortunate.
nominal.
Oh, no.
I just caught the tail end of that. Oh my gosh.
You know,
That marked the end of a
There you
267
go.
consecutive successful landing streak.
it's unfortunate. Clearly an issue with the booster on landing there, but that is a secondary objective. We have SECO on the second stage, which means the Starlink satellites, which is the primary objective. Sorry about that. It means the Starlink satellites, which are the primary objective of this mission, are in their appropriate orbit and will be doing their thing. Oh man, though.
Yeah, that's priority number 1, is that the satellites are successfully deployed.
That's not something you see every day.
No, it is not. No, in fact, the last time you saw it was when 1062 and 1058 were going back and forth as to who was going to be fleet leader. And ironically, 1062 appears to have suffered a similar fate. Unfortunate to see, but it is always worth keeping in mind that booster recovery is not mission critical. So, still a bummer. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, but at the same time, this was the booster's 23rd flight, and I have to wonder if SpaceX was testing anything out. And I don't even necessarily mean testing any changes, but we know that the Falcon 9 landing legs have crush cores in them. Perhaps one of the legs didn't lock. I don't want to speculate, but this is the 23rd flight of this booster. Normally, with every other rocket on the planet, you launch it once and it goes in the drink. So, yes, a little bit unfortunate. Clearly an issue with the landing there, but 23 launches ain't bad.
Yeah, that's still a record.
The inherent risk when it comes to being a Falcon 9 fleet leader is that you are literally in unknown and uncharted territory. And that has been the case ever since they pushed beyond 10 flights, and we all were wondering when Falcon 9 was going to pop because of the stress and reuse a couple years ago. And now they've gone up to 23 flights without the booster failing on ascent, unfortunately not having a successful landing. It did seem a little bit hard, and I don't want to speculate too much, but it maybe seemed a little off-center, and maybe there was too much of an angle coming down that maybe one of the legs got hurt and got the crush core pushed in too far on one side. I don't know. I'm also not sure what the swells are doing in the LZ right now.
Right. It could have been a C-state thing for all we know.
Absolutely.
Right.
We're just mentioning possibilities. We want to be clear. We're not trying to speculate prematurely. We'll wait for any information from SpaceX on what went down there. But either way, y'all are watching live. We're watching live. We're trying to just sort of talk about scrubbed off.
Here's the replay.
Oh, yep. It looked like a good landing to me, but maybe I'm just a dum-dum.
And our lovely commentary with it, too.
I hate my voice. Here we go. Let's watch. There was a sort of an abrupt cut. We didn't necessarily see the touchdown.
Did it bounce a little bit? Like, do we see a little bit of a bounce?
Let's look again. Let's look again.
It looked like it hit hard.
Is that why it cut so quick? There go the legs deploying. They look like they deployed fine.
That's a lot of fire at the end there.
Yeah, that almost seems like the Merlin wasn't too happy and it wasn't scrubbing off enough speed.
Could be.
Or it looks like it's